Welcome back, everybody. New day, same dynamic duo. I was having some ankle pain on Wednesday, so we decided to push it back. Give you a little bit of a weekend preview type show. We'll touch on the madness that was the NCAA lacrosse season. Siena Manhattan, Notre Dame versus Cornell. There was a bunch of just absolutely insane endings. But Coach Maxwell, how we doing, buddy?
I'm good. I am good. Living life. Wednesday night, boys got back in the winning boat. We beat University in overtime. And for those of you that don't know, the head coach of University is none other than Britton Stewart, more or less my boss at Advanced Lacrosse. One of the bosses that I tend to have, just with the way, club teams are set up. But that was awesome. It was a really good game. We were up for a while, like pretty much the whole game we were winning and stuff. 8-5 in the fourth, or 8-6 going into the fourth. In the third, I will say we had a goal that did not count, very reminiscent of this past weekend. Bar down, bounced over the line. Lacrosse balls have backspin. Apparently refs don't know the game that they ref.
Man, I would kill for California refs, so be thankful.
Would you though? I mean, I don't know.
I haven't had a ref this season outside of college players that have ever played the game of lacrosse before.
Ryan Dixon shouting out the boy. Yes, man. You guys
Mr.
did it.
Dixon.
Congratulations. I hope we see you again. Let's play again. Let's play two, as they say.
Yeah, let's roll it back.
As the great Harry Gray would say.
This time, y'all got to head out to O-Town, play them on their home field.
Come play me in East Oakland, boy. Sounds of Oakland going off in the background all night long.
Yeah, the Dragons can only play if there are sirens nearby, and there are no sirens in Clayton.
Sirens or backfiring cars.
Yeah, backfiring cars. That's what it is.
Hence the quotes. Yeah, that was our first game back from spring break. That was a week ago last Wednesday. Dropped that one. Tough one. Clayton Valley played their dicks off. Their goalie made some great saves. They dominated us on the ground ball battle.
I mean, I feel like that's been Clayton Valley's MO since they started the team.
Yeah. We dropped one to Berkeley High on Friday night. Another tough game. Berkeley has a pretty good big athletic defense. And yeah, our team is just interesting. They're young. A lot of developing. It's my first year, so we're really getting the handle on these systems and the ideas of bigger lacrosse that I'm trying to teach them and stuff.
Yeah.
Very excited to potentially play Berkeley again. Tuesday night we played Francis Parker from San Diego, which was super fun.
How'd that go?
It was good. We lost 6-7. They have a Fogo commit to Loyola.
Oh, that's great. That's what you want.
We only lost by one, though. They had 85% of the possession in that game. Like, honestly, it's been a trend in a handful of our last games. Like, it felt somewhat. I think the Ugly Eagles, I think they beat us in the possession game. I would say Berkeley did too. And even maybe so last night against University. We definitely haven't had a good face-off kid or anything. Like, Isaac does a great job. He's new to face-offs. He's been playing lacrosse for a while. And he's that kid where I think if he had started face-offs 3 or 4 years ago or whatever, like, he has that personality and that attitude and that mindset where he would become dialed in and, like, would love it and become a nerd about it. It's just, it's his senior year and stuff, and he's doing great, but he's got a lot on his plate and a lot of other things to think about. I've been super impressed and happy with the job he's been able to give us so far.
Yeah.
Our Wednesday night though against University was awesome. Like I said, we were winning most of the game. We made some interesting decisions, and they were able to tie it late. It goes into overtime, and we made a stop, got the ball back on a little bit of a scary clear, but we got it. And then, we had one of our middies was able to get a good dodge down the alley, spin through basically the entire team, slide package, and no one picked him up at X. And then he was able to come around, turn the corner, and give me a little boop boop. Little fake high, finish low. I know a couple of the University kids, including their goalie, who's a very solid goaltender, but I will say he does have a little bit of a tendency to jump. You can get him up in the air, which will make it easy to put it.
I never understood why goalies left their feet. You can't make a move. You can't do anything stagnant in the air. Plus, I'm a big dude. Landing hurts.
I think I definitely kind of agree with that. He's good. He's really quick. He's got quick hands. He's a little bit on the smaller side. So I think, sometimes he feels like he might have to make up for that or something. But he is a really good goalie. He's super quick. He's good at baiting that. He had, I would say, around 12 saves against us or so the other night.
That's solid.
Yeah, but, we came out with the 8-7, I think, victory.
You got the only stat that matters, and that's the one in the win column.
Yeah. Yeah. That Francis Parker game, though, back to that one, was super fun. The Loyola kid it's interesting. On film and scouting them, because they actually played University on Monday night, he didn't jump off the tape or in person as like a Fogo commit. Didn't seem like he was dominating the Fogo game. He looks like a D1 athlete, moves like a D1 athlete, has a D1 shot, but he's committed as a Fogo. And then I want to say it was second quarter, maybe third quarter, he had been winning all of his face-offs either just right through his legs to himself or back out to one of his wings. Mm-hmm. So we said, all right, we're putting... Yes, Master Peach.
It's not around here, but I do have an Uncle Iroh toy sitting over there.
Uncle Iroh!
That reminds me every day I get to look at it. It's still in box and everything. I found it. I found it at a Five Below.
That's perfect.
But I feel like face-off guys, at least for me, if I'm recruiting them, all those extra things are great because face-off strategy is a team thing, right? So
and part of that too is that he's confident with the ball. Obviously, he has a good stick. He would run off to the sideline and switch sticks and then step back on. We were joking that was keeping him back. There we go. Look at that beauty. You can kind of see it through the glare. That's right. But in the second or third quarter, I was talking to one of our coaches. We were like, "Yo, let's put our all-league pull on him at the face-off. He's winning every single one backwards. Let's just let him go to town on him and take the ball away."
Yeah.
The second we put them on him, boom, boom, 2 in a row forward to himself and just dusts us. And we were like, oh, that's why he's committed to Loyola.
Yeah.
What? We didn't see him win a single one forward. And we did that, and he was like, oh, I've seen that before. I know what to do. Right to myself.
I'm not getting beaten up today.
Stopped doing that. We immediately stopped doing that.
Oh, yeah, you can't. You're like, oh, that's why. At that point,
I guess the other thing we could have done was pull another pull up. We have a kid who's pretty good at shorty that we could have put down and stuff. Go 2 pulls, one on face-off, one cutting him off on the break. But we didn't think that far ahead. It was a close game. It wasn't like...
Yeah.
We were still doing well.
Yeah, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater just because. I'm excited. We got a big one on Saturday.
There we go.
A team. I was talking to the coaches that have been with this program for a long time. Team that we have never beaten before, or at least not in recent memory.
Okay.
but we played them week 1, and it was a 16-14 game. And from where my team has been to where they are now is insane. So I'm like, oh yeah, we're coming for this one.
Yeah.
We gotta push and get this one. I put an entire new offense in, though, last night, so we'll see how it goes.
Okay.
Well, they've seen us, right? So I had to change something.
Not a ton of time. That's just like, yeah, hopefully that goes well.
Well, but it's one of those things where, because I don't really play with a playbook, it's more just letting them pick the menu items and telling them, hey, when we're in this set, these are the menu items available to you. These are the things we can do. Yeah, absolutely.
All right, LT.
I stole it from Merrimack's offensive coordinator, Stephen Bunbridge. I stole that terminology from him, but yeah, Jamie Monroe did that interview too. Yeah, if you guys are into coaching, into lacrosse, just like lacrosse and hearing people talk about it, go follow the Philocrosophy podcast. It is the best.
JM3 something on Instagram.
JM3 Sports on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah.
Jamie,
I listened to the LT one yesterday.
It is
or the day before.
I think my favorite guests he has on are Lars Tiffany and then Jerry Byrne. Him and Jerry Byrne get deep, and he does.
You're a big defensive guy over there.
I mean, you're the one who's loving LT, who's a D guy, so.
He's also the head coach of my favorite university.
I understand that. He used to do weekly discussions about college lacrosse with Andy Tower. But
that would be elite.
It was pretty good. I won't lie. Andy Towers is underrated.
Yes,
but we gotta
hilariously.
It's a different way to look at lacrosse, and I like that menu thing. Right? Don't be predictable. You can always choose something else off the menu.
Yep. Exactly.
And
that's what that's been, sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
That's exactly what, I've been trying to teach a lot of these kids that I have at O'Dowd as well. A lot of, like, basketball, football, soccer bounce backs we get at O'Dowd, right? Not a huge, like, there's the Skyline program in Oakland and stuff, but kids from Skyline also go to Oakland Tech and Piedmont and Oakland High and whatever. They're not all coming to O'Dowd.
You have the extra hardship of it's not cheap to go to O'Dowd. Like,
it's not cheap to go to O'Dowd, and then you can pay the same price. And if your parents are already paying that, there's MC, there's SI, there's De La Salle, exactly.
Brantley,
SHP, even SHP down in Atherton, and obviously.
Well, and even
of the best coaches in the entire area.
Sacred Heart in San Francisco too. Like, there's a lot
I'm
of
mostly talking about better lacrosse teams, though.
Yeah. Hey, watch
I'm talking about powerhouse lacrosse teams.
I took those SH boys and was punching back against anybody in the Bay. So.
Yeah, man, they get beat up on right now, but they're one of those weird in-between schools, and I was actually just talking with Sedge and Jason Pirellis about this yesterday because I was with them, and Sedge went to SHC. They get made fun of a lot, but they're not like they're still beating up on the Urbans and the Licks and the what's the other red and blue one? Starts with Stuart Halls. They beat up on those teams.
They're a middle of the
game
pack
against University, and yes, exactly. We have them on Monday.
Oh.
I don't remember what the hell we were talking about.
We were talking about how there's a lot of options for the Skyline guys if they're going to play lacrosse.
Right. So I've been trying to instill these ideas into my kids, especially, like, I think of this one. I won't name any names right now. But there's one kid, and he's awesome. He's a really good athlete. He is arguably the quickest first step on our team. Initiating dodger, like, he can make a slide at least hedge basically every time he's dodging. but like he's played a lot of football, and so he has a big like. He's always asking me like, where should I be? What spot in the pair? Like, what spot in the 2-3-1? Like, am I here or am I here? And like, what am I doing? And like, so I've been working with him and explaining to him like, you guys are in pairs on the wings, and it's a pair on the crease and X. He knows he's never the crease and X guy because those are always an attackman. And so I'm like, if you're on the wings, does it change what you do? Either time one person dodge, the other guy just goes and mirrors. If any of my other coaches are listening right now, if any opposing coaches, well, Ryan actually, I'm giving away all my secrets.
6 plays like Novocaine. Give it time, it'll always work.
Oh, now I want to listen to Green Day. Novocaine's such a good song. Give me Novocaine. Okay. I'm like, giving him these ideas where like it doesn't matter which spot you're in, right? Like you can be in either spot and it's still the same thing because they don't change. For lack of a better term, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like the exact same kind of thing, especially like this is first year coach, first year, you know, high school. I've done like the club and camps and stuff. But, like, it's my first year with a full team, consistently day in, day out, like this, having a school team and stuff.
Yeah.
It's definitely been part of the learning curve, and especially like high school kids who some aren't fully bought in. Like there may be a couple there for PE credits. You know, it's not an advance where everyone has to try out, and basically everyone there is a high level player wanting to play at the next level.
Yeah, and it's a different ball game. Also, when you have the opportunity to be with the team 5-6 days a week, because that's not club ball at all, right? And so you're learning a lot more about interpersonal relationships and, oh crap, you know, these two kids are fighting over a girl in their science class, and dealing with that kind of drama and attitude of it all can be the hardest part sometimes. Like, because, hey, they could have been the best of friends, but now all of a sudden they don't want to play together. Like,
the best of friends.
Never ever gonna let you go. I don't know, I lost that one.
No, I completely agree. Yeah, and then, I don't know, you get kids who miss randomly for weird shit.
Yeah.
Kids
Don't
who
get me started on that.
oversleep their alarm and then don't go to school all day, and their parents say you can't play in the game because you didn't go to school because you just skipped. And shit, that's what my parents would have done to me.
Oh, yeah. There would have been none of that.
And technically, it's like a violation even too, unless you have like an excused absence, like
a doctor's note or something.
Yeah, exactly. Doctor's note, like some family event, something weird, like school visit, something. Yeah. But yeah. All right, what do you want to talk about first, man?
Well,
because we haven't been talking for 30 minutes already.
Right. Let's start here. This is the last week of the NLL regular season.
True that.
We have the top 6 seeds
locked and loaded.
Locked in for the playoffs, but only 2 seeds have their positions locked. So we're still fighting for 2 home field games at the 3 and 4 slot, and then we've got 5 teams that are all fighting for the chance to make the playoffs. So
that's crazy.
This is one of those weekends that's like, this is what the sport is all about. Like, what more could you want than, you know, a third of the team still having a shot at the playoffs in the last week? And every game has some sort of postseason implications. Tonight there are 2, the Rochester Nighthawks, who are currently the least likely team that still has a chance. They are sitting at a whopping 3.13% chance to make the playoffs.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance. And hey, if there's one guy I'm not going to bet against, it's Connor Fields.
Yeah. Man,
So-
that kid's nasty.
This game, the Nighthawks are going down to the Gas South Arena to play the
That's
Georgia
quite the name.
Swarm. The Swarm can get a home field game if they win
When
and get, I think, a little bit of help. So this one, if the Nighthawks don't win this game, they're out, point blank.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping the Nighthawks win just to give it a little bit more drama. Let's keep them in the running for another day or two.
Yeah.
Because they would also need Vancouver to lose their game, even if they win, against the San Diego Seals at Pechongo Arena in San Diego.
Jongo.
Pechongo Arena.
But the Nighthawks have 2 games remaining.
They do. They need to win them both and get help. 3.13%, baby. Vancouver is ridiculously hot right now. They've won 6 of their last 7. The Seals already have the number 2 seed locked up and can't get the number 1 seed. So you have, are they going to rest guys? Aren't they going to rest guys? Kind of talks now, which is cool because it makes us feel like a regular professional sport. You hear about this in the NFL. You hear about this in the NBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This game should be really interesting. Vancouver was basically out of it and just got so hot so fast. The Seals lost a game last weekend. So who knows? The Mammoth are playing Halifax on Saturday in Halifax. Halifax, they have a...
They're clinched.
They're clenched, but they're in that fight for the home field game in the first round.
Yeah, sitting at 9-8.
The other real bad part for the Mammoth is they don't get their own first round draft pick, and they're sitting at the bottom of the standings right now. So Philadelphia owns their first round draft pick. Every time
That's unfortunate.
every time they lose, it's just a little bit more. It's like another paper cut being added to what this season has been.
Yeah.
No Dylan Ward. He got
Sorry.
moved to the injured reserve list. So they're going to be starting a young guy. Thunderbirds are coming in for a win and trying to get on the same page. They've been a little bit inconsistent. What I think has the potential to be one of the games of the week this week, Albany is going to the island to play the New York Riptide. Albany started the season 10-2.
That's crazy.
They have then lost 7 straight, or 5 straight.
Oh, okay.
To
I was
go
like,
to-
wait, they were 10-0?
No, to go 10-7.
Yeah.
And they may lose out. They're the team right now that has the last home playoff game. They may lose out on that if they don't get their shit together.
They drop another one if Georgia picked that one up.
The
Or
Riptide.
Buffalo.
The Riptide have a 23.4% chance to make the playoffs. So they need this one. This could very possibly be the last game in Long Island. Next year, the Riptide are moving up to Ottawa to become the Ottawa Black Bears. So, let's go Riptide. Let's get in the playoffs. See what happens. Panther City faces Calgary, which is one of the only games. Oh no, Calgary was eliminated.
Mm-hmm.
So Panther City,
Which is funny because Rochester is 6-10.
yeah,
Plus-
but they
so
have 2 games left. That's scheduling.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Panther City is almost a lock. I don't even think they need to win this game. They need other teams to lose and they could get in.
Sure.
But they're hot right now. They want to keep that up. They want to push that further.
Lose that last game of the season.
So, that should be a good one. And then
is the Halifax one? Is that Scotiabank? Is that how you pronounce that?
Yeah. Scotiabank Arena.
WestJet Field at Scotiabank Saddledome.
Yeah.
Why are there two Scotiabanks?
Because Scotiabank is like B of A in Canada. So they sponsor a lot of things.
Fair enough.
Then we've got Toronto and Saskatchewan. Toronto, I don't know, because they've got home field locked up. They are the number 1 seed.
Yeah, they're locked in.
And Saskatchewan kind of needs this game. They've got a 31.25% chance to make it, according to the NLL.
Mm-hmm.
So, is Toronto going to rest their older guys, give them a week off, let them get healthier, or are they going to go full bore into this and try to play spoiler for Saskatchewan? That's kind of...
Yeah. Everyone loves playing spoiler, especially in pro sports.
Right?
You always want to go beat that team in front of you. It's good momentum going into the playoffs, especially the 1 seed.
Especially if they come in as the 8th seed, do you really want to give them momentum of, hey, last time we beat them, guys. Why not this time? It's just going to be different guys.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Buffalo.
And how's that? I mean, 2 Canadian teams there. Do they like each other? Not too much.
Not really. I mean, nobody likes the Rock realistically, and
fair enough.
Most of the NLL just hates each other.
Accurate, So I mean, I'm sure they're gonna. I bet the Rock come out at the start with their starters and kind of see how it goes. If it's a close game, I think they stay in, and if it's not as close either way, I think they'll still get reps, but I think they start to cycle more guys in, because I mean, even still, playoff time's coming, and it's good to have those other guys getting a couple of reps as well.
But it's tough to do that because of the roster sizes.
They're tiny. It's all the same guys anyway. You'd have to
deactivate them and pull up your practice squad guys. Buffalo plays Las Vegas. Weird story coming out of Buffalo that I haven't gotten to really look into, but I was seeing rumors that the owner of the Buffalo Bandits, along with basically every team in Buffalo besides the Bills, is looking to sell. So that potentially moves the Bandits out of what I think is the best fan base in all of the NLL and Bandit land in Buffalo. But the Bandits have won 5 of 6.
What other professional sport teams are there in Buffalo?
Sabres.
Right.
And then a minor league baseball team as well.
I'm shocked they can play baseball in Buffalo.
I mean, it's a real short season. And then you have the Desert Dogs, who are just trying to play spoiler. But also, they are going to have some extra emotional push to win this game, as it's going to be Tucker Out Lymphoma Night in honor of Tucker Williams, the younger brother of Dyson Williams from Duke and the son of the Desert Dogs general manager and head coach Sean Williams, who died from childhood lymphoma in 2014. So the Desert Dogs are coming out with everything to play for and nothing to lose for, and that makes any team a very, very dangerous beast. So that one will be interesting.
Yeah.
And then the last game, Philly and Rochester. It may matter, it may not. It all depends on what happens Friday, Saturday.
Yeah.
But, this could be a huge game for Rochester. And it could be the chance for the Wings to play spoilers. So, I mean, this NLL season has been absolutely awesome. Heading into the postseason, it's going to get even better. So, yeah. Watch some box lacrosse. All the games are on ESPN Plus. So, if you got some time in this lacrosse-filled weekend, it would be a lot of fun to watch. I know I will be tuning in.
Highly recommended. Yeah, I mean, it starts off tonight, too.
Yeah.
Those games get going tonight.
So that will move us into kind of the NCAA slate/week that was last week. Let's just start with it. Siena had the greatest comeback in lacrosse history.
Up there in sports history?
I would say yes.
Obviously, it's just a regular season game, but as Siena pointed out, they're playing for their season right there.
Yeah.
They were, obviously, neither one of these teams have had an over-the-top year, but, they needed that.
Yeah, and
I mean,
that
was crazy.
4 goals in 44 seconds by 3 different players.
That was so wild.
It was absolutely ridiculous. Shout out to Siena. I hate it for Manhattan. I feel bad, especially as a goalie, for that goalie. All that goalie wanted to do was make one of those saves.
All he had to do.
That's just the worst feeling. But yeah, neither one of those teams truly matter in the scheme of things. That needed to be mentioned, so I mentioned it.
Yeah, it had to be. It was, and seriously, if you guys go back and watch, literally just the last minute of the game.
That game is still on ESPN Plus. Go back, rewatch it. It's absolutely insane.
I've never seen anything like it. It was electric.
Yeah. And then last weekend, we had a bunch of really close, really good games. I guess we can kick it off. Cornell gave Notre Dame everything they could handle. This was another 1-goal game. A D-mid scored the game-winning goal with under 30 seconds to play.
Shout out Ben Ramsey.
Yeah, buddy. But Jordan Fiezon with that wrap check, that ball bounced perfectly to him.
Young players, young men out there who probably aren't listening, don't do that. You're not a D1 wide receiver who also plays D1 lacrosse.
Yeah.
There's select few people who are allowed to throw a one-handed wrap check in that situation.
Well, and you have to be so athletic to be able to do that without...
Athletic? So, exactly. I was going to say precise, so without getting a flag is what I'm assuming you're saying.
Yeah. But...
Unreal.
I think the story for me was Entenmann. 11 saves on 28 shots. He's human. I don't think we saw that a lot last year of him being human levels of goaltending. And if
at times, yeah.
If I'm Notre Dame, any of the team, Cornell, Hopkins, Duke, Virginia, Syracuse, any of those teams could drop 20 on you if your goaltender is not on his game.
Yeah, with the defense that we're seeing from Notre Dame this year not being quite as staunch in years past. If their goalies, if Entenmann's not having an Entenmann level day, they're in danger, especially if they have a good defensive matchup. I think something about a game like this for Notre Dame is that they go in a game like this. They go if Dobson goes.
Yeah, Dobson's a huge key.
He has to be able to draw a slide because that changes everything for the rest of their offense, mainly their attack, obviously.
If you're going to short stick Dobson, you're going to have issues. And you have to short stick Dobson because Fiezon is such a good athlete it's an automatic, like, you're picking your poison, and I'll pick, okay, this guy's a really good shooter, but a less good dodger or this great dodger, I'm probably pulling the dodger. Notre Dame gets a trap game this weekend in my book, coming off a stretch that was Syracuse, Duke, Cornell. They're now playing North Carolina before they get Virginia to end the season. So, I'm sure Notre Dame was happy but unsatisfied with their Cornell performance.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
And I'm interested to see how they bounce back against a very sparky North Carolina group. So,
I mean, Owen Duffy has been everything advertised, if not more.
Yeah.
Dude is a baller.
Yeah. No, yeah. He is.
Oh, my God.
He is ridiculously good.
He's so awesome.
So, we got to talk about it because Duke
Continue with the Sunday slate.
Duke is number 2.
And
Virginia looked bad.
Virginia looked like they didn't play their game. And they talked about it on the broadcast, too. You can probably count on one hand the amount of times they send a pick to the ball carrier in the Duke game. And that's been their MO, not only for all year, but, for the last couple of years, has been those two-man pick games. And I feel like they hardly played any pick games. I think they felt rushed at times. And exactly, they looked bad. A lot of sloppy passes, poor choices. There was that one face-off in the fourth quarter that Gabriel, I think he was alone, or maybe he was one-on-one with a guy on that ground ball. And instead of just scooping it up, he, goosed it backwards, or, flipped it over his head right to a Duke player. And then they just took the ball and got into their offense. And, it was right after Virginia had scored. Every time Virginia got a little bit of momentum, either Duke just scored and took it back, or Virginia allowed Duke to score by turning the ball right back over to them.
Yeah, and I mean, I do think we do have to talk about the fact that Matt Nunes wasn't in cage.
Because they pulled him.
I'm only seeing stats for the other goalie then.
Maybe. I thought they pulled him in the first quarter.
Oh yeah, they must have, and they just didn't put him on because he didn't register a save or something.
I think there was. Oh man, I think Kyle Morris will be good. Obviously, a very tough situation to go into. I missed the first chunk of it, but I'm pretty sure they pulled him in the first quarter. Yeah, if you go to the Virginia stats, he had 0 saves, 7 goals allowed. I remember he had 7 goals allowed in the first quarter when they pulled him.
Oof. Yeah, that's rough. But only getting 5 saves, no matter what, it is a
5 of 11 is not good either.
Yeah, it's just not a good day. And I don't think something like that will happen again to Virginia.
No, I don't. And we've seen, and this will be my next point, we've seen in years past that Virginia's able to get their monkey off their back sometimes when they play Duke in the postseason. 2019, I think it was, we beat them in the quarterfinals to go win the championship in the end. Virginia hasn't beaten Duke in the regular season since 2004. Assuming because we play in the spring, I was 5 years old. They have lost 19 straight regular season games to Duke.
That's rough.
And that's not even just oh, that's funny. 20 years. That's insane.
That is a lot.
How, and what I've heard, I don't know if it was the tailgate I think it was the tailgate because that one came out on the 15th, the tailgate podcast. Yeah. Shout out if Dakota's lurking in here. His boy, Nick Acello. He lives like down the street from him in
That's
Boise.
dope.
It's so dope. He sent me a video of them. I think they were at a bar or something a couple weeks ago. It's pretty awesome. How much of this, like, what is Danowski saying to Duke leading up to them? Like, yo, we just own these fools. And like, what's going on in that Virginia mindset leading into these games? Like, how psyched out are they? Because they have the talent, you know? Like, something is going on, though, and they just can't get this monkey off their back.
Yeah. I mean, in certain teams, I mean, there's a plethora of reasons. 19 straight spans multiple coaches at Virginia, at least.
Who? I think.
Yeah.
When did Starsia start? I think it's just Starsia and Tiffany.
Starsia and Tiffany.
But I mean, you look at the players who've gone through that, like Chris Rotelli and John Christmas were on the team back in that 04 era. And then you had like Stanwicks and the Emerys, and then you have and then more Matt Moore, Doc Sakin, Michael Krause, like
No,
you had the boys to beat this team.
Yeah.
Step.
Yeah, and it's one of those things. Duke's got a bye week this week before they finish their season with Carolina.
And that's something, how do you think that is going to play in for them? What do you think a week off does for a team like that at this time of the year? Do you think that's super helpful? Or do you think that might lull them into a little bit of like, I don't want to say like complacency, but like, I don't know, you remember what it was always like in college when, planned or not, you had that week off, and in the middle of the season, all of a sudden, you're only playing against yourselves for 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's not an easy thing.
It's really tough in practice.
Yeah. Well, so hypothetically speaking, and this is definitely me going slightly off the deep end conspiracy theory.
Do it. I'm going to grab a jacket. It's cold down here.
You're good.
I'm listening.
Duke could possibly miss out on the ACC tournament. So let's hypothetically say that Notre Dame doesn't get the trap and beats Carolina. That will make Carolina 0-3. Well, Duke is 1-2 in the ACC right now, with their only game being North Carolina left. So if North Carolina then defeats Duke, they're both 1-3, and North Carolina has the head-to-head matchup.
Only 5 teams, top 4.
North Carolina.
That would make me the happiest man in the world.
North Carolina would get the 4 seed, and Duke would be left out of the ACC tournament.
And Mr. Max, guess who my second favorite team in college lacrosse is?
North Carolina?
The Tar Heels.
There you
and
go.
I'm not just saying that right now. I would say they genuinely are.
Yeah.
I was a big Billy Bitter fan back in the day. Speaking of bitters, guess who's an assistant at university? The younger Jimmy.
Yeah.
Bitter.
Is he out there in San Francisco now?
Yeah. And that felt kind of good to beat. Beat him in a lacrosse game. Come on now.
I'll take that. I beat Dan Groot once at a travel tournament, and I was like, okay, maybe this is the thing I do.
Over the summer, I went 3-0 against. One of them was Will Manny, though.
Yeah, that ain't bad.
Troutner, Manny, and I forget the third, but I went 3-0 against like 3 current All-Star pros. That felt fucking awesome.
That's always a good feeling.
Humble, not so humble brag. I'm gonna shout myself out.
Yeah.
Because I've never been known to do that.
No, never. That brings us to Hopkins, number 3 in the media poll. They had everything they could want and probably more out of Ohio State last weekend.
And I was just going to say, like, I just now spaced somehow that I forgot it was an overtime game. Somehow.
Yeah, no, Matt Collison plays hero again. Goes into
ride your horses, man.
Go into that phone booth, tie on a cape. Superman comes out. This is a team that is I don't know their weakness. They've lost games, But I can't give you one thing that's like, oh, if they lock that down, they're a Final Four team for sure. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's always been something a little bit different. They've got a huge one this weekend. This is the first game of the epic doubleheader, or the second game? Is it first or second? I'll look.
What are we talking about? Big Ten?
Yeah, no, they're on ESPNU.
Oh, they are, yeah.
So
it looks like it's the second.
So,
Syracuse, Virginia at 2, Maryland, Hopkins at 4.
So, yeah, 4 o'clock.
I think that's your time. So
it is my time.
11-1. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'll be coaching. Well, I'll take it too because I'm coaching up until basically the UVA Syracuse stuff.
Perfect. I think my game tomorrow is going to get canceled. For a couple of reasons.
Rain?
Lack of. No, it's supposed to be sunny out here. I don't think we're gonna have quite enough players anyway. And secondly, our San Rafael Blue Jays team is supposed to travel out to Diablo and play the Scorpions U14-18. And
have fun.
As you can guess, precisely. Diablo currently has the #1 ranked 2028 Fogo in the country, I believe.
Shout out Scorps. They just raised greatness.
They do something good.
I know. I was one.
Exactly.
They're the reason I became a goalie. Because
I showed game for us, and yeah.
I showed up to tryouts for the Scorpions, and they were like, "We need a goalie," and I was like, "Does this mean I don't have to run? Sure, give me that." And that's how I became a goalie.
It crossed my mind. I think I had good enough hands, but when I was that young, I was just a little too scared of the ball.
Yeah, I was never on the A team though because Dylan Westfall was also in my year, as was Pat Lancaster, and both of them are very, very good goalies.
Yeah.
The E-ball back in the day used to be all about defense, and now it's like, shots fired.
Yeah, E-ball's... It's a different league now, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Jason at Livermore.
Yeah, I mean, Casey over at Monte Vista.
Doing a good job.
Coach Ertola at Cal. Like, I've got a lot of love out there.
Absolutely.
My boy at Lax Yardigans on Instagram is coaching at Doherty Valley. I coached him when he was at Doherty Valley. So, a lot of good things happening out there in the East Bay.
Oh, yeah, baby.
But Hopkins, Maryland is going to be something different.
Oh.
Because
what's the last couple year run on that matchup? Can you remember off the top of your head?
I mean,
that's a loaded question.
I would be willing to bet. Yeah, Maryland won in 23. Maryland beat them twice in 22. Maryland beat them in 21. It was postponed in 2020 for obvious reasons. The last time Hopkins beat them was 2019.
Right. That ain't bad. It's no
it's no 19 straight.
I will say, looking at Hopkins' stat line, and you may have seen this already, but before you go check, take a guess on how many shots Degnan has taken this year.
This year?
Yeah.
Can I get a hint by knowing how many goals he has right now?
Absolutely, 37.
He's at 37. I'm gonna
37 points or 37 goals, 5 assists.
Give me plus or minus 160.
Okay, minus. He's at 101.
Okay. He's actually
only at 37% shooting percentage.
But shooting at 37% for a guy like Degnan, who's not a crease finisher, is ridiculous.
But the next closest shots on the team is 61 from Collison.
Leave it to the... You mean their two biggest shooters are their two lefties? What? Lefties like to shoot?
Russell Melendez has 52 shots.
I have never met a lefty who doesn't like every shot and think that everything is a shot, should it need to be.
Bijan Nahidi.
Is he a natural lefty?
He's technically a lefty in lacrosse. He had a better righty shot, though. He got a little bit harder of a righty shot.
He's what's it called? Ambidextrous.
Anomaly? There you go. He is. He does, and he's multiple different sports. He does things differently. I think he shoots a basketball lefty and then throws a baseball football with his right hand and stuff. I think he kicks soccer ball righty. Yeah.
Leave it to Beach.
He's messing all kinds of shit up.
But I think this is going to be a really interesting matchup. Right, we're going to get Zappatello, I would imagine, guards Degnan, but Degnan's not really an on-ball guy, Is he going to guard Angeles? Is he going to guard Melendez? What's Maryland going to do to counter the fact that, realistically, all three of these Hopkins attackmen should get a number one pull for a different reason or another?
Yeah, there's that, too.
And, when you look at games in which they've played very good attacks that have depth to their attack, they've struggled a little bit. I mean,
yeah,
that's kind of been their kryptonite. If you look at it, they lost to Virginia, and Virginia's attack line is obviously three very, very, very good players.
Yeah.
They squeaked out a win against Penn State, but even Penn State, I'd say two out of the three are getting number ones, not all three.
Yeah.
They lost to Notre Dame, and realistically, you can short stick Jake Taylor if you got a good enough short stick. But they lost that game, and they played that one-goal game with Syracuse. So, the ability to attack multiple polls seems to be the way to defeat Maryland.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see if this Hopkins offense can rise to the challenge and finally beat Maryland. Mainly because I don't like Maryland.
I like Maryland a little more than I like Hop. So I will say that. But a Hop win, I don't know. Hop win makes the Virginia loss look better, but Virginia beat Maryland too, so. I don't care.
So
I'm biased, if you guys can tell. Let's jump to number 4. The first game. No, what do you want to go to?
No, I was gonna say we talked about 4, but we didn't.
Yeah, but we didn't talk about the game or who they're playing.
Oh yeah, no. But I was just gonna jump to 6, and we get to do that.
Precisely.
We talked about 4 and 5, but this game, I think this game is huge for both teams.
Yes.
You've got 4 versus 6, Syracuse at 10-4, Virginia at 10-2, but I would be willing to go out and say Syracuse needs this win a little bit more than Virginia does. Because outside, they've beat Duke, they've beat Hopkins. But every other time they've played a very, very good team, they've lost, right? They've got losses to Maryland, Army, Notre Dame, and Cornell. So, Syracuse can't go into the tournament with they can't win a close game versus a good team hanging on their back, right? They need to solidify that after the Hopkins. Right? They beat Hopkins. We can do it. Now let's prove to ourselves we can do it.
Again.
And
that's what you're going to have to do in the tournament.
This is Syracuse's last game before the ACC tournament.
Wow.
They're
done already.
They have a bye next week. So.
See, and I almost wonder, is that a better or worse bye than Duke?
I think it's a better bye simply because it gives them more time to go back and get these young guys.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, this is where we lost this game last time. Or this is where we won this game last time.
Yeah.
Right? It gives them a chance. All right, hey, we have a week. We're just focused on us this week. We'll find out who we play. We'll have that next week be a game week.
Yeah.
You know, whereas for Duke, they're such a older team that I feel like their week off is more rest-based and getting healthy, getting Brennan O'Neill a week off, you know, and letting those things happen. So I think they're used as different things. Both can be good, both can be bad. It's all about how it goes. I think the interesting thing this week with Syracuse and Virginia is the return of Pat Marsh. Pat Marsh is now free from jail after being ran off at Cornell and serving his suspension last week. I think that'll help calm down the offense a little bit. Because you could tell the offense wasn't the same at North Carolina as it was, you know, before Pat Marsh was suspended. So,
yeah. I mean, you saw it in the game even.
Yeah, and how does Virginia rebound from that bad loss at Duke?
Yeah.
And
they're going against another elite goalie who maybe that gives them some struggles.
Yeah, and
which as it can.
I think it's two very different defenses, too. Right? Syracuse is a very aggressive defense. And
which almost might play into Virginia a little bit better.
Exactly. I mean, Virginia will be happy to run and gun with Syracuse, and that's what I'm hoping for because, well, it's my favorite version of lacrosse. And run and gun doesn't mean it needs to be a 21-20 game, right?
No.
I want some awesome saves from Will Mark. I want some awesome saves for whichever keeper Virginia goes with. I'd assume Matt Nunes, but
you got to get him back out there.
You know, so I'm excited for this one. This is kind of circled every year on my calendar as one of my favorite games to watch.
It's always a fun one.
Just because stylistically these are two of my favorite teams. So, but that game kicks off that ESPNU doubleheader, and for me, that's just it's gonna be an awesome weekend of actual lacrosse that is actually televised.
Yeah.
Brings us to number 7. That would be Denver.
Yep.
Who beat Georgetown by 2 last week in the comeback variety. Denver set themselves up nicely as long as they can continue to hold serve. But this week they play at Providence, and the Fighting Bobby Bensons are 2-1 in the Big East. So this could create a 3-way log jam, shenanigan-filled triangle at the top of the Big East if Providence wins here, because we'd have that situation where Georgetown beat Providence, Providence beat Denver, Denver beat Georgetown, and they'd all be, hypothetically, as long as Georgetown wins their game, they would all be 3-1 in the Big East. So,
yeah.
I don't need any more ridiculously complicated conference tournaments. The Patriot League is fulfilling that this year, so come on, Denver.
Yeah, right.
Love you, Bobby Benson, but have to root against you in this one.
Unfortunate. And then we got a couple Ivies at 8 and 9 here.
Yeah, and I think Yale's at 9, right? I didn't misclick.
No, I think they're at 8.
Or 8, yeah. Yeah, Yale's at 8.
Yale's 8, Cornell's 9.
They play tonight, and I am so excited for one particular matchup. And that is getting to watch Jake Pacino and Matt Brandau go toe-to-toe for an entire game. Because if that's not Jake Pacino's matchup, I'm going to be highly disappointed. But that game's tonight. I want to say at like 7. Yeah, at 7 on ESPN Plus. This is a chance for Albany just to get to play spoiler.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big wrench into Yale's solid season thus far.
Yeah, and like Albany's not out of it. Albany's 4-1 in the America East. If they can win this one and the America East tournament, they're in the postseason. You know, I think Matt Brandau may have worked his way into a Toraton finalist position. He has been absolutely fantastic, especially recently. But, I mean, he's sitting at 86 points on the season. He's running this team. He is what makes this team go. So can he be shut down, and can Pusino give Albany a chance to win? You know?
Yeah.
And that kind of prairies into Cornell. Cornell is sitting at 3-1 in the Ivy. They've got Harvard and Dartmouth left.
Great game this weekend on Saturday.
Yeah, they stood toe-to-toe.
Harvard.
Oh, this Saturday, yeah. But last week,
yeah,
they proved to everybody it doesn't matter. We're with anybody. We're going to punch for punch. And I think that's going to give this team a lot of confidence rolling.
A ton. Oh, absolutely.
And it's gonna get pretty interesting. Especially,
I mean, that's another, like the Ivy League. You have Yale and Penn sitting at 4-1, Cornell sitting at 3-1. Princeton at 2-2, and Harvard at 1-3,
and Brown at 1-3 now.
Yeah, like that again, another conference tournament that can get, and even just regular season race that can get really hairy, with some big games coming up left.
Yeah, but the Ivy is always kind of like this. Like,
yeah, I mean, just a couple of years ago, we had 4 Ivy teams in the tournament.
Yeah. And Brown has 2 Ivy League games left. One against Dartmouth and one against Harvard. If they can win both of those, I do believe they would make the Ivy League tournament at 4-9, 5-9. Or 4-10, depending on what happens in their game with Bryant.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, they had that huge upset of Princeton this past weekend in what was a really, really fun game. And you could just tell how much Brown is feeling it. And that's a great win to get their momentum building at this point in the season. And any team that's hot right now and at the D1 level, especially if you're in the Ivy League and stuff, you're going to be battle tested, and you're going to have good talent that can make some noise when you get hot at the right time.
Absolutely. That brings us to our last team in the top 10, Rutgers. Penn State, playing at Rutgers tonight.
Yeah.
This is a huge game for both teams. Rutgers right now is tied for number 4 in the Big Ten, with Michigan and Ohio State.
They received votes, not currently ranked.
Yeah.
After what I thought was a great game against Maryland, and I thought they were right there in it and had a bunch of opportunities, honestly.
I mean,
to win the game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, Rutgers they're one of those teams. They're right on pace with everybody. They played a good game against Maryland. They've beat Michigan, right? They lost to Ohio State. They've created this conundrum. They don't have a real signature win. And, Michigan last year was kind of this team in the Big Ten. And I think Rutgers beating Penn State at home in what is the last game for both teams, it would it would be, you know, a little bit fairy tale. They could get up to, they would be the number 3 team in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah.
Like, this is going to be huge. This game is tonight at 6 p.m. I think it's on the Big Ten Network or Big Ten Network Plus or something. So it should be an interesting race to the end there. I'm excited. I'll be following along. I don't think I have Big Ten Network, but I may switch it on and see if I do.
You never know.
Never know. But that brings us to Georgetown. We talked about them a little bit when we talked about Denver. They've got 2 Big East games left. They're sitting at 2-1. Both of these games are against teams that are sitting at 1-2. Why? There's so much parity in lacrosse right now. Like, everywhere you look, it's like, well, any one of these teams from this conference could make it.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
it's great.
It is. I am not complaining. They've got St. John's and Villanova left. I think, you know, realistically, they should handle both of these teams, but you can never say never. So they got to
never say never, and like we've already showed, people in conference play gives you a little more fire, gives you a little more energy.
So it's a different beast.
Exactly.
That brings us to Army and the clusterfuck known as the Patriot League.
Can we get any other teams in here that can be 4-2?
Let me go check. I pulled up the
2-4, 2-5, 0-7. Come on, Holy Cross.
No, you need those bad teams. So you can have 6 teams fighting for the top seed.
Freaking A, man.
So this one actually means, like, all of these games that are coming up in the Patriot League, and we can kind of talk about all of them.
It's already playoff games, essentially.
The first round bye is what you're playing for right now.
Yeah, okay.
And that is the top 2 seeds in the Patriot League, I believe.
Wow.
So the top seed is the host.
Mm-hmm.
So with 6 teams at number 1, or at 4-2, Bucknell has a very, very outside chance of making the top 6. So the playoff field is all but set. Right?
Yes.
Army plays Bucknell and Loyola to end the season.
Mm-hmm.
They play Bucknell tonight, and they play Loyola next Friday. Loyola they're at Navy tonight, and then they play Army. BU has Lehigh and Colgate left. Colgate has BU and Holy Cross. Lehigh has BU and Lafayette. So, honestly, I feel like BU has the toughest road, having Colgate and Lehigh.
Yeah.
It seems like all of the other teams have one of the 3 teams out.
Yes.
So, like, this is lacrosse, boys and girls. This is lacrosse.
Yeah. Not to mention, BU has to play on the road at both Lehigh and Colgate, too, to finish the season.
Yeah, they're on the road.
Them stumbling against Lafayette was...
It hurt them.
Huge.
But that league is going to be insane, and Army's going to win it because they sat their goalie and inserted a brick wall. Sean Byrne has been a game changer for them in the past couple of games. Let me pull it up. what is he averaging save-wise? There he is. So he's played a little bit throughout the season, but he played basically the entire games against Army, Colgate, and Navy. And he's had 19 saves in 2 of those games, and Colgate, he had a bad game. But if my goalie is averaging dang near 20 saves a game, I'm going to take that.
Yeah, that'll work.
Right, and he's, he was 70% against Navy. He was 61% against North Carolina.
Yeah, that's really good.
So, I think Army is in good hands.
Yeah.
Brings us back to the Ivies at Penn.
Penn.
Penn is ending their season tonight.
Wow.
Tomorrow night at Princeton.
That's going to be such a good game.
So, this one's interesting to me because Princeton has a chance, if they win their next 2 games, they get the 1 seed in the Ivy. Because Princeton has Penn and Yale left. So they would need a Harvard or Dartmouth upset of Cornell to get the number 1 seed.
And even the Harvard beating Cornell almost wouldn't even necessarily be an upset.
Tomato.
Exactly.
But so this game this weekend is Princeton's last gasp stab at trying to get to 4-2 and host that Ivy League tournament and do what they want to do. They're at 17 right now. They need a win over a really good ranked team because they lost to Duke. That North Carolina win looks okay. But they've lost to Maryland. They've lost to Cornell. They beat Harvard, but then they lost to Yale or to Brown. So, what is Princeton going to be fighting for here? Penn. And once we get into this kind of 11 to 20, all of these teams are fighting for the same thing, man. They're fighting for relevancy.
Yeah.
And I think this Penn-Princeton matchup is going to be an important one.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to Towson, who's got Monmouth this week, but their big game is in 2 weeks. As long as both them and Delaware hold serve against lesser CAA opponents.
Yeah. I mean, they're both sitting at 5-0 currently in the CAA.
Yeah.
Obviously, one of them is going to have to lose, but they're seemingly... I think they're both already locked into that tournament. I don't think either of them can not make their league tournament there.
But at what point does it come down to they can't suffer a loss and have an at-large hope?
Yes.
So when
we're at that point.
When they play each other, that's a chance to get a top 20 win into the RPI.
I mean, looking at Towson, their best win is Navy.
I think
Hofstra.
I think Delaware would either be Hofstra or St. John's.
Yeah. So both of these teams do not have a very strong at-large argument.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're looking at they need to kind of win their CAA if they want to make the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. That brings us to St. Joe's, who is, dare I say, the hottest team in college lacrosse. 8 straight wins. They've beat Penn. They've already beat a pretty good Providence team. They beat High Point.
St. John's.
And they've got the Bonnies this weekend and Richmond next weekend. So, they have to hold serve against, arguably, if they lose to St. Bonaventure. Unless they're then win the Atlantic 10 or bust.
Yes.
And
that Richmond game is going to be huge. I mean, they're both sitting at 3-0, and for that at-large bid, either one of them, that's going to be a big win for them. For whichever one likely doesn't, of those two, that likely doesn't win the tournament.
Yeah.
Definitely, UMass can make some noise, 2-1, but I think Richmond is probably the best team in that division.
I mean,
we'll see how it plays out, though. This, like you said, this is the hottest team, I would say.
They're sitting at 15-16, Richmond and St. Joe's. And honestly, I don't think Richmond has a bad loss on their docket. I mean, they lost to Georgetown, they lost to Duke, they lost to Virginia and Maryland. They've
beaten St. John's, and that's kind of their only win.
Yeah. I think they need the St. Joe's win.
And the UMass win both will look good.
Yeah, they need that win more than St. Joe's because St. Joe's has the Penn win.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Princeton and Harvard we've kind of talked about getting into the Ivy.
Talked about Delaware and BU a little bit.
Wrapped up the top 20. I am so excited to get to watch all these games this weekend.
Oh, it's going to be absolutely incredible. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to watch tonight, unfortunately. Obviously, shout out Big Ten Network, but I have we're playing Washington. Is it Washington Memorial, whatever that school is? Senior night tonight at home for the Dragons.
Nice. Is that
be a fun game? Yeah.
I think Greg Menges may help out every once in a while with that high school, or at least that's where most of his travel club comes from.
I would be surprised if he might help out there. This team is on the very much lower tier.
That's who he loves. That's who he loves working with.
I thought he was, though, more down in the San Jose area still. I could be wrong.
He's when we were running Eagle, we were mainly out of Fremont.
Okay. I guess it could be possible then, absolutely.
Yeah.
I saw him over winter at the King's Showcase. He's recovering well. He's about a year out he had a stroke. Which I assume you knew.
Which one?
Greg?
Yeah.
He had a stroke about a year ago.
Yeah.
He's doing great. I saw his Instagram post the other day. He was able to get back on the field and stuff.
I know. Shout out.
Awesome.
Shout out.
So cool. Yeah, I mean, I've known him for a long time. Obviously, you've known him longer. Good dude. And that was a fun Tahoe tournament that we went up to.
Oh yeah, it was. That was great. He also made the coolest lacrosse shafts ever that I want to figure out how to remake because I want them.
Yeah,
it was my favorite lacrosse shaft ever. It's a carbon fiber shaft in a real wood outer coating, so it's not as heavy as a wood stick, but you get the aesthetic look of it. I was a big fan.
Honestly, pretty much the same way to some of those heavier carbon fibers, but it's just going to be that much more durable.
Yeah, I used mine for 4 or 5 years before it got a little bit too splintery for me to be like, yeah, I don't want to actually snap this. So
yeah, I was always a little prima donna attack boy and wanted a much lighter stick. So I unfortunately never snagged one, but I was very close and very tempted to. Back when he was making them and whatnot.
Force equals mass times acceleration. So if I can accelerate the mass at the same rate you accelerate your mass, I can shoot harder with a heavier shaft.
This is true.
But yeah.
One thing I thought would be fun to take a quick talk about. I don't know how much more time we have, but they dropped the most recent top 25 for the Tourathon. Came out yesterday.
Hashtag free Peyton Cormier.
Literally was going to be the first thing that I said. And honestly, like, Cole Kastner's great, but I don't know if I would say I was a little bit surprised to see him on the list. I thought Virginia's defense has struggled a bit this year. Cormier's been freaking balling.
I feel like Cormier is a product of wanting to show off different positions, right? Because is Cormier one of, in my opinion, the top 25 most important players to his team? Yes.
Yes.
But I think there are only 11 attackmen on the 25-man list. And just going
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I might be miscounting.
I got Zawada, Young, Spallina, Schellenberger, Brennan O'Neill, TJ Malone, Coulter McAsee, CJ Kirst, Sam King.
Yeah, you're right. 11.
Pat Kavanaugh, and then
Brandow, yeah.
So, like,
Yep.
I think it then becomes, do we take Peyton Cormier or Josh Zawada? Because those are the only two guys who would be a second attackman from a team. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you take Dalton Young off Richmond, Dalton Young's not a top 20, or Richmond's not a top 20 team.
Yeah.
Right? You take McAsee, you take Kirst, you take Sam King off of their respective teams. They are not as good as they are with that team, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to have a second attackman, I think you have to then break down, okay, do we go with Zawada? Do we go with Peyton Cormier? Do we go with a Dyson Williams? Right? Those would be my three that I would have in the conversation. I think Peyton Cormier got left off the list because he doesn't do as much.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And they put Zawada on the list because, in my opinion, he's been a better attackman than Brennan O'Neill this year. He has done more for Duke than Brennan O'Neill has done, and that's because he is getting the number 2 defenseman. Right?
His like is pretty beat up.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's getting the number 1 cover guy every single time. And
So-
a very quick slide.
I think
I think it's a pretty good list.
my honest thing is I'm shocked 4 goalies made the list. Wasn't it 4?
5 goalies.
5? Who did I know?
5. They have a
Entenmann.
little list at the bottom. Emmett Carroll from Penn. Entenmann, Jake Fracione. I don't know how to pronounce
Jake
his last name.
Fracione was the one I was missing.
Yeah. Chase Ireland, and then Will Mark.
Yeah,
Marky Mark.
I am shocked.
Shout out Connor.
Yeah. And then the only sophomore on the list is Spallina.
Yeah.
He's the youngest guy.
Mm-hmm.
But where do you think we whittle down?
I think you'll start to see some of these face-off guys trickle off.
Yeah.
No hate to them, but Alex Stathakis from Denver, Luke Wehrman from Maryland.
Well, honestly,
I think
none of them have been that dominant.
Exactly my point.
Because they've played each other, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and we don't, and especially at the face-off, like we don't have a TD or a Trevor this year. You know,
No.
None of those guys are doing that kind of stuff. I think you'll start to see a lot of the goalies trickle off. I wouldn't be surprised if Mark and Entenmann stay on that list the longest.
I think there's a chance, depending on how those teams do,
Ireland stays.
that one of them may. Well, no, one of them makes the final. You know, depending on, I don't know if it's going to be Syracuse, Notre Dame, or Hopkins, but if one of those guys gets real hot, I could see one of them finally getting on the stage.
Yeah. I think
to put it to you this way, the highest ranked face-off guy that is on the Toraton list is number 3. And that's Will Coletti. He's at 63% this year.
Well, and he's the one who I was going to say is probably has the best chance out of those ones. And maybe a little surprised to see. Naso's not on here, is he?
Nope. And Naso's ahead of near.
Is he number 1?
No, he's number 11.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Number 1 is La Liberté from Bryant. Number 2 is Machado Rodriguez from Yale. Nice. Number 4 is the Marquette guy. Number 5 is Michigan's guy. Number 6 is Villanova's guy. Number 7 is North Carolina's guy. Number 8 is Mason Cohn from Syracuse. And then you have Stathakis at 9. Will Lynch from Notre Dame at 10. Naso from Duke at 11. James Ball from Georgetown at 12. And then you have Weirman at 13.
Yeah.
So, like, it doesn't even really make sense to me. That
Agreed.
I get that, you know, different teams play different people, but it's not like Stathakis or Weirman or, hell, even Coletti have had these great magical years.
No, not at all.
Like, I think it's going to be the same thing with the long pulls. Like, unfortunately, I think these are. I think
Ajax will stay on for a little bit.
I mean, I think he could be one of those guys that it depends. It depends on how Maryland's defense plays, right? Because if Hopkins goes absolutely hog wild on him, I could see them dropping him off.
Yeah, if he's exposed. Yeah.
You know.
I mean, and then go ahead.
I think the one that I want to see stay the longest is Jake Pacino, because he stays on. He plays offense. He plays defense. He does it all. He's going to lock up your number 1. And then he's going to go down, and if you don't slide to him with a guy that respects him, he's going to face dodge you and bury it down the alley like he's done 3 or 4 times.
Or he'll step in from the 35-yard line.
Yeah.
You know, absolutely. But, I mean, it's an attack-dominated list and award over the last handful of years. Honestly, I think the Big Four attackmen, I wouldn't be surprised if they're the final ones. But I don't know if Schellenberger's been putting up the best year, though. Like,
my thing is which 4, though?
I think Kirst, Schellenberger, O'Neal, and Kavanaugh are the ones everyone expected, and based on how the committee kind of does things, I wouldn't be surprised if those are the final 4, especially if their teams do well. But again, like, I feel like Schellenberger's been, like, considering who he is, I feel like he's almost been a little bit underperforming on what he should have done this year. Could almost make the same argument for O'Neal. Like, it seems like he's disappeared in a handful of games.
I was just going to say, prefacing this with, he is still arguably the best lacrosse player in the world.
He just won the MVP at the World Games.
Brennan O'Neal hasn't been the best attackman on his own team. That's why Josh Zulata is also on this list.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think Brandow deserves to be there at the finals. Brandow's had a hell of a year, right?
Yeah. So is TJ Malone.
Yeah, right? A guy like TJ Malone. I would love, depending on how Penn... I would, like I said, I would love to see one of the 3 goalies get there.
Of course.
You know?
There's 5 on the list.
Yeah, there's 5, and I think 3 have a legit shot. But like, I don't know outside of Pacino, any of the polls I want to see make it. I don't like. Yes, Ajax Zapatello is a lockdown incredible poll.
Yeah.
He hasn't. He's so technically sound that like, you got to have a Toraton moment, you know. And I don't know what Zap's Toraton moment was. You know, and maybe it just hasn't happened yet. But yeah, this list is going to be watching how they pare it down a little bit is going to be the interesting part to me.
Yeah. It's going to be a fun final weeks. Like, you know, a lot of these guys will play each other again and will continue to go head to head. I mean, obviously, like, Duke has 3 players on the list. Maryland, Notre Dame, Penn State, Syracuse, and Virginia all have 2. Syracuse and Virginia play this weekend. Virginia plays Notre Dame the next weekend. Like, Penn State or Maryland plays Hopkins. Hopkins has a couple people on the list.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we got a lot of things where we can kind of see that with, like, Zapatello's going to be going up a couple of these guys. Like, Kastner's going to go against Spallina. And, like, we have a bunch of these matchups that we're going to be able to see head-to-head. Will Mark going against the Virginia offense. And all of these things, like, Duke has another game coming up. I'm blank. Who's their last game again? I know
North
we talked
Carolina.
about it. Thank you. So North Carolina didn't make anyone on the list, but Kenny Brower is likely going to be going against Owen Duffy. If a freshman lights him up, Kenny Brower may not be on the list for that much longer.
Yeah. But
It's gonna be super fun, man.
Everything this year is just highly contested in the sport of lacrosse, and I love it.
And to that note, I'm almost surprised. Is it always still a 25-man list this late in the season? I thought it was narrowed down a little bit more at this point.
No, because this is when they start speeding up the process.
Because they do the 50 a couple weeks ago or whatever.
Yeah, and then they did 25 now.
And then they cut it in half.
They'll do 10. They'll do 10
okay.
at right before the tournament.
And then it'll be the
4
finalists.
I think it's 4, but they could always change the rules. Who knows?
Fair enough. Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, end of the season, we've got everything coming along, and then it all flips.
Fan of lacrosse.
Yeah.
Get your shit together and start watching.
Yeah, and our cries have been heard. We're being able to watch these games. We're being able to. Yeah. Oh, we've got a 2 and a 4 o'clock game, and you know, there's a really good one at 12:30, and oh, there's a really good one at 7. Like,
well, and shout out ESPN for doing whatever they did to get the Hopkins Maryland game and not letting Big Ten Network stream that game.
Thank you, ESPN.
Shout out. And only one game on Sunday. That's a little surprising.
Yeah, but we've got such a huge slate tonight. What are there, 7 games tonight? So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be good. It's going to end up hot. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're in for an incredible last stretch of lacrosse here. College lacrosse, NLL lacrosse. PLL draft coming up in
2 weeks.
I don't even remember. 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Yeah, seems early.
It is the 7th.
Maybe we'll try to do something with that.
The 7th of May.
Yeah, wow, that's around the corner.
But it is going. It is
2.5 weeks.
It is going to be televised again. So
yeah, shout out a draft on a Tuesday night. I mean, in theory, there's not a ton other probably playoff basketball and hockey on, but I guess that's it.
But no, I think that's about it, man.
Wraps us up.
Where can people find you?
Age-old story. Still haven't created my public profile.
Just gonna get Chuck to ridicule you until you do.
Yeah, man. He's way ahead of the curve on me. on that. I had a couple more of my high school players last night asking if they could follow me. I said, yeah, I don't care. Like, I don't do anything.
Yeah.
But at some point I am going to create a coach's profile that you can definitely follow and fully interact with me on. I'm psyched, man. Incredible lacrosse coming up right now. I'm super stoked for summer lacrosse coming up. Taking my 25s, my North Bay 25s, North Bay East Bay 25s to 3 recruiting tournaments. We got some ballers on this team. I played against a handful of my kids. They're on the university team. Got this one O'Dowd kid recruited onto my team. I think he's a stud. He's one of those guys, you know, he played like 6th, 7th, 8th grade. He's a junior now, so definitely a little bit of COVID affected his start of his high school career. And just like youth, he didn't play freshman year at O'Dowd. Came back last year. He hadn't played for like 2 years. Came back last year and was first team all league as a sophomore.
Yeah,
and
I'll take that all day.
Dude, he's got like 2 inches on me. He's probably like 215 and the horse. Like, strongest kid on our team, like one of the fastest kids on our team. I'm so excited to be able to like really coach him in some club ball and stuff over the summer and get to develop this kid more because he's going to be an absolute baller. Showed up to practice last night with his fresh new advanced bag. So I was hyped. I was like, I said, Jacob, we're doing a little show and tell. Like, let's hold the bag up. Let's see it. We all gave him a little cheer, give him a little razzle dazzle. It was a really good time.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So MPierce12 is my personal Instagram.
Yeah.
Super active, super exciting account to follow.
Oh yeah, I'm the same way, but I'm trying to get better. Follow me.
Yeah, can you throwing those things on your stories?
Coach Max
and some good videos.
Yeah, on Instagram. Also follow Maxed Out Lax Pod.
Yes, please.
That account's been growing. We're gonna start posting some stuff on it. Doing some cool things.
I should sign into it and I can start tuning in.
Also a Discord that is in the chat and will be in the YouTube description to come join, hang out.
Please do.
Getting that a little bit more active, but yeah, excited. Summer's gonna be fun. I've only got 2 tournaments, but
okay.
But I've got a good team. I like how I constructed this roster. Pretty good mix of juniors and seniors. Not enough players for us to be able to do a 25, 26, 27, 28, but we'll get there. Growing the game. That's what it is.
That's what matters.
Yeah, we are a little behind on our uploads for this, so YouTube, be patient with us. We are building a travel lacrosse program.
We're trying, guys. These two do a lot for us, and they're putting in work.
So, but thanks everyone for coming by. Squirrely Jacks, Peach, Dixon. Thanks for hopping in chat. Love y'all, and until next time, lax on.
Lax on. Don't get maxed out.
Nope.